Welcome to part 25 of Pokemon Blue, and I'm back in Saffron, ready to finish the Silph Co thing. You know, go to the top, take on Blue and Giovanni, and continue with this game. In order to get there, you just have to come up here to like the 3rd floor, I think that was, and take this little teleporter here. It's simple as that. Kept you red. Yeah, I'm sorry. I took on the entire tower and used an escape rope that launched me 2 counties to the south, so that it took me a while to get here. But apparently he saw us in Saffron, so he just wanted to test us, see if we're doing any good. Well, I guess we're gonna find out. I mean, it looks like you've been slacking on training, and I have a full team of 6, so... somehow I have to come up with an excuse for how he's the better trainer? Well, he's been busy. He's been busy catching everything. And he's using, like, specific things, and he hasn't, you know, he hasn't found anything good enough for that final slot. And he has no time to train because he's studying, and... you know, he's out there in the wild catching and researching, so, yeah. Oh, and here with his Gyarados, I'm going to exploit Gen 1 programming with how weakness and resistance works. This is supposed to be neutral damage, because he's water flying. Water resists ice, flying is weak to it, but it's only taking the 2nd type into account. And for those of you who argue that Gyarados should have been Water Dragon and not water flying, he learns Dragon Rage, so maybe you have a point. You know, I'm kind of on the fence about that one. I'm not really sure which side I agree with more on that, because on the one hand it makes sense for him to be Water Dragon, because he's clearly a dragon. Like, Dragon Master Lance uses one. It learns Dragon Rage. But on the other hand, there was only one dragon type in this game, and I think that was by design. So I think, you know, in that way it makes sense that he's water flying. Like, I don't mean to be a fence sitter, but I really just don't know how to call it there. You know? They both make sense to me. I don't know what to think on that. He'd certainly be better with Dragon type than he is. He isn't bad in this generation. It's just... with his huge attack and water being a special type, you know, he really isn't the greatest. Well, again, he's not bad, just not the greatest. You know, the addition of Dragon type might have, I don't know. There's no dragon moves beyond Dragon Rage. And it only deals 40 damage. Now, what's he talking about? I think he's talking about becoming the best trainer in the world. I know it, dude. Somehow I have to convince myself that I'll keep up with you. Oh, I am a savant. And this guy, out of thanks for saving them all, he gives us a rare Pokemon. I'm like, I don't want any more Pokemon. I'm happy with what I've got. And plus, I wasn't even here to really save you, but I understand the sentiment, you know. If I wasn't here, you wouldn't have been saved. And you want to reward me, so... alright, I'll take your rare Pokemon. And besides, he kept it in a lab anyway, and it'll be much better off with us, because we're just gonna keep it in the PC. No, I think you've made a mistake as far as what's best for that Pokemon goes. Although apparently the PC is like Pokemon Heaven, like, so, I don't know. It's like a paradise in there, so maybe it is happier in there. I don't know. I don't know how any of this works. It's been explained so many times in so many different ways throughout various mediums, and I don't think the video games have actually ever explained it. Like, there's this one Pokemon manga that literally shows us the Pokemon inside the Pokeball is just kind of sitting there cramped in this little ball waiting to be used, but it looks happy about it, so I don't know, that was weird. I don't remember which one that was, but that wasn't a bad one. It was actually kind of good, from what I remember. But it's been a while since I've seen it. This is that rocket grunt before Giovanni I was referring to. He's here for some reason. I guess he's monitoring the hall, even though the door's locked. Last line of defense, sure, but I combed this tower. You know, he has a Marowak, though. I guess that makes him the elite guard. You know, a drowsy Marowak. He also had a Cubone, I think was the first thing he used. I mean, too bad I was using Weed, because Weed's really good. And he's worried about getting fired. So please don't go see my boss. I'm supposed to guard the area. And I'm like, well, you're fired. I was trying to sneak in to see the computer before fighting him, but the minute you get into either of these two squares, he talks to you and comes and fights you. I don't know why I thought I could pull that off when he could just walk next to me. But Giovanni wants to fight. Oh no, your stuff is so weak. So much for the hardest encounters in the tower. You know, Blue is nothing. Giovanni's gonna be nothing. I wanted to use Critty specifically for him because I forgot he doesn't have a Persian in Red and Blue. He only does in Yellow because Yellow is trying to be the anime. And he has a Persian there, so... But he doesn't actually have a Persian in Red and Blue. So I don't know why the anime centered it on him. I don't know why the anime decided to give him a Persian instead of anything he actually used in the game, but the anime was weird anyway, so... No, the anime always got stuff wrong. It was so noticeable. That's why I quit watching after the Pokemon League and the Ocean Islands started, or the Orange Islands, not the Ocean Islands. You know, I didn't even go back for the Johto journeys, and I liked Gold and Silver. Eat Hyper Beam! It's not overkill at all. Oh, I painted the walls with that Nidoqueen's blood. Blast it all, you ruined our plans for Silph, because none of us brought a gun. It's the Pokemon honor system. Even the criminals obey the Pokemon honor system. You settle all disputes with Pokemon battles, and the winner's the winner. That's all there is to it. Thank you for rescuing all of us. We admire your courage. Yep, courage, not rage. That wasn't... it was all courage. This guy's never gonna forget us, and because he's so rich, he's gonna give us anything we want. But then he's like, no, we're just gonna give you the Master Ball instead. Which is coincidentally what Team Rocket was here for in the first place. I don't remember where I found that out, but I found that out somewhere. I don't know why they were here for the Master Ball specifically. There's only really one of them. Maybe they were planning on mass-producing them. I guess that makes sense. But in my mind, maybe they were also trying to catch Mewtwo. So that they could actually use his power. That PC was, for some reason, not programmed to be anything other than, you know, the PC from a Poké Center. I don't know what that's about. And a lot of PCs like that generally have, like, flavor text in it, like world building stuff or memos and stuff like that. That one's a normal PC. I don't get it. So what do you think? Were they planning on mass producing the Master Ball or catching Mewtwo? Maybe both. Maybe both was on their mind. And the 3 legendary birds, you know, those are still out there to be found and Master Balled. Of course, a real man Ultra Balls all 4 of those things. And in fact, there's only 1 Master Ball in the game, so you have to Ultra Ball at least 3 of the 4 of them. You know, if you're going for Pokedex completion anyway. But here's some uncut Pokemon Center footage. I miss it every now and then again, I suppose. It gets easy to miss things. You know. But now that the rockets aren't here, we can actually deliver this stupid Pokédoll I've had in my inventory forever. You know, the thing that's been cluttering one space, so... Let's see this mom talk about how self-centered her daughter is. These are Japanese parents. They're absolutely willing to burn their children. It's amazing. Here she is, Copycat, one of the most interesting characters in the game. She has a bunch of dolls. You can't actually interact with this one. This is a rare Pokemon. Oh no, it's only a doll. LOL. I couldn't see the stitching. And then this Doduo just says this from out of nowhere, and I don't understand. But then there's a game with Mario wearing a bucket on his head. They're referring to the game Mario and Wario, which was a Japanese-only puzzle game for the Super Famicom. It looks like fun. I might want to try and play that somehow. I don't know if it's been it's probably not been fan-translated in English. So, that might be interesting. It's a puzzle game. It shouldn't be too hard to figure out. But she gives us the TM for the move Mimic in exchange for the Pokédoll. And I don't quite remember how Mimic works because I don't really care for it. I know that when you use it, it replaces something that the opponent knows. Or it replaces Mimic with something that a move the opponent knows for the remainder of the battle. I don't know if it's like Mirror Move and they have to use the move, or if Mimic just randomly selects one of the moves they know. But I don't really care for it. And now we're in Sabrina's gym finally. We've taught Team Rocket its 4th lesson. The 2nd major lesson. And now we get to take on the Psychic Gym, yay! Now, I made mention that the later gyms are the easier ones. You know, everything after Erica is easier. Because at this point, the level difference is a large thing. Stop giving me notifications, computer. But the level difference is a much larger thing, and, you know, that same type team mentality is really killing them. Well, this gym, I guess, is a kind of... It's kind of an exception, kind of, because the same type thing is less egregious here because all psychic types are really good. That's just kind of their thing. So it's kind of a non-issue here, but the level difference is still real. And so there's this really weird thing where she has an Alakazam that can really give you a hard time. But that's about it. So, Sabrina's maybe an exception depending on what you have and what, you know, how you approach it, and you'll see how that turns out for me. There's actually another fight in here that kicks my ass, though. We'll be seeing that in a little bit, but I use an item in battle for it for stupid, silly reasons, and lock myself out of using an item when it might have been actually relevant. despite the fact that I hate using items in battle, and I know why I did it. Specifically speaking, it's a Haunter. It's not one that she's using here, it's a different Haunter in this gym. And it paralyzes me, and I just say nope, and use an item to overcome it, and then it kicks my ass for it, so... It's like I used an overpowered item and the game, like, punished me for it for once. But seriously, I hate the Ghastly line in Gen 1 because they're not good. But the computer uses them to such annoying effect because they, at the very least, have parafusion on their side, where they can paralyze you and confuse you, because confusion's a secondary status ailment, so you can actually inflict it upon something that has a status ailment. And parafusion's mean because it just takes away actions. And there are other things in this game that can do it, but the Ghastly Gengar line, as far as single player goes, are the only ones who really do it. And they're fast, so they generally get to do it at all. Just an annoyance. I don't remember what the percentage chance of Lick paralyzing things is, but it has to be high because it happens so frequently. Maybe it's 25%? 33%? Somewhere in there? Because it happens to be like 50% of the time. Or so it seems. Like, I don't remember my jaunt through the Pokemon Tower, but... This guy's using a Mr. Mime. That makes him awesome. Mr. Mime. I used to hate Mr. Mime because it's stupid looking. But I'm going to spoil this. The same reason as the Vanillux. I used to also hate Vanillux because it was kind of stupid looking. But that is kind of what started to endear me to it. Same with Mr. Mime here. It being so stupid looking that I hated it kind of endeared me to it in the end, and especially after I used it, one time. Because one interesting thing you can do to make your Pokemon playthrough different, like a lot of people do these challenge runs where it's like a Nuzlocke run, or like a same type run, a challenge to make things different. I'll sometimes just use things that I hate. Or make teams that are just terrible. Like, a bad team playthrough is really fun. A playthrough using things that you hate for one reason or another that you never would have ever considered using in the first place because you just hate it. Those are actually interesting playthroughs. I like Mr. Mime now more because I did that. I didn't do that with Gen 5, so that's not what endeared me to Vanillux. I just kind of gradually grew to like the thing because it was dumb looking and really good. Every time I saw a Vanillux in the battle train, it was kind of terrifying because they were always good. No, in Black and White I used Cryogonal because I happened to find one and thought it was the coolest thing I'd ever seen. As far as that generation went. And Cryogonal was cool. But I'm not talking about Gen 5, I'm talking about that paralysis use. I just did not want to be paralyzed. Because Blue Durgan... bless you. But he can't hit Ghastly with normal moves, and he has a high special, so I was like, I'll just use this. Forgetting, of course, the sheer amount of items I've used so far. Even in the last episode, but that's because, after being ejected to, Fuchsia, I stopped playing for a couple days, go figure. I was just like, nah, I'm done for now. So he paralyzes me again, and I'm like, I can't use another item. I've already used one item this playthrough, and I just did it. Here I am showing off agility and how interesting it works with paralysis, because it overcomes the speed loss. You know, Thunder Wave is a better move to do that with, because it at least paralyzes the other thing. I think I got rid of Thunder Wave for some stupid, silly reason, but I have agility, and I use agility, even though Thunder Wave would be the better option. Well, it's because agility, you know, it's a stat boost, so at the very least, it sticks and remains permanent. It's not to overcome the speed loss of paralysis, it's to make Dragonite faster than other things, if need be. That was my mentality. I kind of remember that now. Not that that ever really comes into play. It's the only times I ever really use agility. Paralysis becomes a thing as well. We'll see that more later. I need to stop alluding to things that happen in the future, though, because it's a silly thing I do. You know, focus on the things that have already happened and what's happening on screen. That tends to work out better, because sometimes my predictions for what I remember are wrong. Do I sound tired right now? Because I just woke up. I'm just finding time in this busy as hell week I've had to actually do something like this. You know, like, I went to the hospital because I was, I had to go to the hospital. Like, I think I referred to that earlier in this playthrough, where I had to go to the hospital, but everything was fine, so, you know. But that means dealing with financial aid, because I don't have a job where I can just pay, and I don't have insurance, and I was part-time at the time, so I didn't have insurance through my job, so I had to go through financial aid, and that requires a lot of paperwork and turning things in, and, you know, so I've had a busy week of doing that. But you gotta get stuff done, am I right? That was the wrong teleporter. So I'm just now waking up and figured, before work tonight I'll get this out of the way, you know. I don't actually like waking up and commentating, because normally when I wake up I'm not in the mood to do anything, but today was different. I got the just right amount of sleep. Hit that right multiplier. The sleep is interesting. They say you need 8 hours of sleep per night to get a full rest. That's actually not true. The true proper number is 7.5 hours of sleep, not 8. 8 is actually too much. You'll be a little more tired at 8 than you will be at 7.5 hours. The reason for this is you want a multiplier of 1.5 hours. Every 1.5 hours is a good time to wake up. You know, optimally 7.5, because then you're fully rested, but because of how sleep works, you go through cycles of waves. You know, and in your deepest sleep is your REM sleep. That's at about the 45-minute mark. This is important, because you go through cycles of this. You'll go up to REM and back down to normal. Well, you want to wake up when you're normal. You don't want to be in an unusual state, or else you'll wake up all tired and whatnot. These cycles last for 1.5 hours, so you want to wake up at a multiple of 1.5 hours. Enough about sleep and me educating you about sleep. We're at Sabrina, who had a vision of our arrival. She had security cameras. I know that's the fact. She's not clairvoyant, or else she'd win this fight. Either that, or she'd just hand me the badge because she knows she'd lose. Oh, but that's not how that works, is it? You know, you see the future, but you have to actually still go through with it, or else it isn't the future. I don't know. The presence of this clairvoyance, does it actually take away free will? You know, does this mean predestination's a thing? Not sure. That swords dance, probably not the greatest decision I made, but it can never hurt. It's just, you know, I got critically hit by that Psybeam. I'll never know if it was a good or a bad idea. I one-shot everything up until Alakazam, which is faster than me. So did it matter? Who knows? Who knows, you know? I don't know. How can I know? I knocked everything out. The only way I would have known that the Swords Dance would have been relevant is by not using it and not knocking something out. That's how I would have known. But here's Alakazam to ruin Weed's day. It's the only real thing in this gym that can give you a problem besides the, that one Haunter that gave me hell. Psywave is a bad move, though. It does... Its power is randomized between like 5 or 6 different powers, so it's generally really bad with one outcome being really good. And it's not 100% accurate, so why would you use that instead of Psychic? Which is really high damage all the time and really good accuracy. But now, look, Pokemon up to level 70 will obey. That's not a problem anytime soon, but thanks anyway. She's gonna give us the TM for Psywave. It's about the worst TM in the game. Offhand that I can think of. There's probably something worse, but... Well, everyone has psychic power. People just don't realize it.
Darn! We're not gonna make it! Let's speed up!
Well, that was probably the stupidest, silliest looking speed up section I've ever done. Oh well, with all that out of the way, the end is near, so I'll see you next time. Have a good day. Bye-bye.